the shoe vlog. What do you do when the everyday routine becomes mundane? What do you do when things in your routine are going wrong or become an inconvenience? One day I was at work as a teacher with my preschool students, and just those things were happening. It was midway through November. This was the time of year where Halloween, aka candy high hype, has somewhat worn off. The time of year when kids were talking about Santa and what he was going to get them for Christmas. When they would forget about Thanksgiving and just keep repeating what they wanted for Christmas, which was probably annoying me as well because I tire of people skipping Thanksgiving, but it is hard to commercialize that. The day began pretty normal. Kids came in and began playing. I was working on projects with the kids. The trouble began during circle time. Kids were all up in one another's grills, aka touching each other. So I had to remind them to stay in their bubble or their space. Then they forgot to repeat what I was telling them to repeat. 5 times I tried and failed to get them to repeat after me. When story time came again, they were up in one another's grills. Center time then came, and kids were just not following the rules at centers. I would remind them nicely, and they would not listen. Then a child I had just sent to the bathroom had an accident 5 minutes after I sent her to the bathroom. This event made us get outside late. At lunch, the kids were having bad manners, and a child spilled her whole cup of milk. At that point, though, it was kind of like, fine, just pile the crap on, so I let it roll off my back. Then, an aide for one of my students looked at me and said, "How are you feeling?" I didn't answer, really, because I didn't know the answer. Honestly, I wasn't feeling the greatest. I was quite annoyed and impatient and tired and slightly overwhelmed. But I also did not want to say all of that in front of the kids and get into all of that with this lady. She just said, "It seems like you're not yourself today." Whoa, lady. Who are you to tell me who I am and who I am not? Was my initial thought. I could feel the anger boiling up. She was somewhat right. I was a bit more on edge because of all the little things piling up. I felt like a mouse we read about in a book that day. The mouse just kept finding food and piling it up on top of the next piece of food. Well, you can imagine how that went, and when the cat caught up with him, in a way, the aide was kind of like the cat. She was calling out my bad attitude. I didn't like it, and everything came crashing down. Now, while I disagreed with how she asked and the fact that she said I didn't seem like myself because I was doing the normal things I do every day, I also know I wasn't letting my light shine. Matthew 5:16 says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." This not so great day was taking its toll. It was diminishing my light. In a certain way, I felt justified. How many people have to deal with all the things I was dealing with daily? Why did all bad things have to happen at once? I had a right to be cranky, didn't I? Not according to Matthew 5:16. I wasn't doing a great job at being set apart. I wasn't very loving and patient. Now, to a certain extent, some of the things the students did merit consequence. But that doesn't mean I had to be cranky as I dished those consequences out. I could have been more patient and understanding. That doesn't mean that being those things is easy. It's just what we as Christians are called to do. Now, in case you were wondering, to get back on track, I took my break to listen to a Christian podcast, had some prayer time asking for forgiveness, and wrote this blog. All those things helped change my attitude. It's amazing what a bit of God time can do, isn't it? So when days like this happens, what is your reaction? How can you let your light shine daily, no matter your circumstance?